I woke up very unhappy. Dude, I'm very scared. I was very scared and uncomfortable. I was scared. I did not have fun watching the movie. I'm just like panic. Goosebumps. Scared. I want to leave. I think in terms of scared, I was very scared.
Who'd have thunk? We're back, folks, for the 4th ever episode of Two Men and a Baby, the half-hour-ish horror show where 3 best friends talk about a new horror movie each episode. This week, we're going to be talking about Argentinian horror film, When Evil Lurks. I'm joined, unfortunately, but as usual, by Abbie Krinsky to my left.
Wah, wah.
That's our resident baby. And Brendan Fletcher to
welcome
my
back,
right.
Fright Freaks, Horror Heads, and the Scaredy Cats. The Scream Team is back in business.
Wow, Mr. I write secret taglines in the backseat of the car while Abbie drives me to the podcast studio.
true, very
Still
true.
thinking
I did
about
do
what
that.
you said about the 8-mile notepad when I
when you're on the ferry.
Yeah,
Lose yourself
Brendan
in the
definitely
music,
was.
the moment.
I lent him mine, dude. He had some good ones.
Hit that theme song, B-Man.
If I have to.
2 men and a baby, oh yeah. 2 men and a motherfucking baby.
All right, yeah. So the way we usually like to kick this thing off is we're each going to go through and give our synopsis of the film in one sentence and one sentence only. And then we're going to read to you the official synopsis so that you actually know what the film is about. Somebody go first because I need to pull it up.
Abbie, hit us with yours, dude.
Okay. Evil Lurks. Absolutely fucked up movie in Argentina with farmers and possession and kids dying and killing. Fuck. That movie fucked me up.
Damn, dude, that was like a haiku. Loved it. But now it's Daddy's turn.
Wait, now we got to build up to it. I'll go.
Your daddy?
No,
Who's
no.
daddy?
I want to save you.
I'm daddy, dude.
Poppy.
I'm joking.
Actually,
You're mommy.
based
You're
on this episode.
I'm joking. You are Poppy.
Okay, so 2 Spanish-speaking brothers, bizarrely lost out of time, take an immersive tour into the world of child brutality. And when I say lost out of time, I won't talk about this. It was just for some very weird reason. These guys, the whole first 30 minutes of the movie, they have like a 1957 pickup truck, Ford, and they live in this like farm house and everything. And then you just find out when they go to town, it is 2023.
Yeah.
So
All right, Sammy, synopsis.
All right, let's
hit us
do
with
it.
that synopsis for the ages.
Pedro must come to terms with the sins of his past as a highly contagious, satanic disease sweeps through his small rural town. COVID much?
Wow.
he doesn't
Sammy,
miss this guy, Steph
Sammy
Curry
synopsis
from
coming,
Deep.
Nice dog.
coming
Steph
with the
from Deep.
ellipses.
I will say, and Shudder, we watched this on Shudder specifically in my brand new screening room. Wow. No, I don't have a house where I built one. I moved into a nice, shiny little new building, and they have one, and we rented it. And we watched the movie on Shudder. It was a great experience. Sound, popping.
Amazing.
Dark-
There was a Friendsgiving occurring outside,
Right outside.
that you could hear through the vents. And it was weird because like it was a wholesome time. And meanwhile, we're watching, some very, very, very disturbing images, right next door.
A guy even like slid the door open thinking it was the bathroom for a second and then just peeks his head in and we're just watching like guts spill out of a fucking stomach.
It was like
love
the most
that.
disturbing scene.
Oh,
too.
sorry.
There's like a kid just like choking on a spoon and blood pouring out of his mouth. He's like, I'm so sorry. I thought this was the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking for the 3-year-old's birthday party down the hall.
Wait, how fun would it have been if he was just like, wait, can I
Can I come in?
come? Like, can I watch?
So this is what I'm talking about.
That would have been really scary. Okay, so yeah, Shudder is great. I want to say that everybody should get a Shudder account. This is like their studio or whatever.
They should sponsor this podcast. And honestly, if they don't, we're cutting that part out.
But the one
Yeah,
thing
fuck
they
you, Shudder.
didn't
I mean,
do.
shitter.
Oh, God.
Oh, dude.
Oh no. The one thing they don't do well is write synopsis because I pulled theirs up and it is like a whole novella. So I found this is IMDb. In a remote village, 2 brothers find a demon-infected man just about to give birth to
He did air
evil
quotes.
itself.
Will did air quotes. You can't see him.
They decide to get rid of the body, only to end up unintentionally spreading chaos. I think Brendan's was better actually.
Wait, time out. That was the actual synopsis?
It's just IMDb.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know what? I got to be honest with you guys. I originally put this film on with my dad. I was visiting my parents. They live down the shore. I'm not going to give the address. You guys are not going to TP my mom's house.
It's an iconic location.
123 Bruce Springsteen Lane.
123 Bruce Springsteen Lane, Jersey Shore. And so, my dad's a big horror head. He's a fright freak. We're sitting down, ending the night with a horror movie, as we've done many times in the past. But I haven't seen I haven't seen it in a while. And me and Dad, some dad time. 15 minutes into the movie, I get a text from these two dumb bums, and I said, I watched the movie. He's like, what movie? And I go, When Evil Lurks. And all of a sudden, Tubbs goes, shut it off. Tell your dad, take a hike. You're not watching.
Fuck off. Shout out Mr. Fletcher.
Tell Dad,
But also thank you.
Father and Son time's over because we're doing this for the podcast next week. Let's just put it this way.
Again,
I haven't even spoken to my dad since.
Takes sacrifice. We're learning this.
But I'm glad I did stop because this viewing experience with you guys, honestly, way better than with you guys.
It got cut from like the original first write-up intro of the script, but I feel like Brendan and I, part of like how we found out how much we both like horror, it came from him asking for horror recommendations when he's like, him and his dad are trying to find something to watch.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have ever gone through this. Finding a movie to watch, like whether it be on Shudder, Netflix, isn't it?
Dude,
it sucks.
New thing?
I was going to say, I feel like it's so much easier than it used to be.
No, this is what I do, new thing. ChatGPT.
Oh,
Dude, you just ask ChatGPT and you just say like, similar movie to Evil Lurks, but actually like a little funnier. And then it'll be like, oh, and then it gives you 10 and you're like, oh, but actually only from the 80s and 90s. And then you just keep narrowing it down.
Sure.
It's very fun.
That's
It's
actually
I will
really
not-
smart.
I would try it.
Correspond with the AI overlord.
Oh, you're such a Luddite in your fucking screening room. And your
shout out to Luddite.
high-rise.
Luddites. Shout out to the Luddites out there.
Dude, kill
So,
that.
guys, what do you think about this movie? Would you
Yeah, well-
recommend it to other people to watch?
I'm going to start by saying this is probably one of the most fucked up movies I've ever seen. I was hooting and hollering in my head, and Will was, we had our own rows in this private room, so Will didn't even get to hear me going like
I
seven.
could
Oh, you could
100%
hear me.
hear
Oh
it.
fuck! I thought it was more.
But even,
subtle.
I mean, since we weren't in an actual theater, there were multiple like, oh fuck, like, moments.
It was
Like, no way.
It was truly like you guys can say it from we've seen a lot. You guys have seen a lot more, but from it's not that limited. Like I've seen a good amount of like stuff. It was like a combo of gross and like there was no line uncrossed.
Yeah.
And it was truly like one of the more fucked up things I can ever remember seeing. So
I was thinking about this on the closest. So, what's your answer? Yes.
Yeah,
You'd
you should
recommend
see
it.
it.
Yeah,
unless you,
resounding
like,
yes.
Yeah.
If you like horror movies, I think that I like this even better than Talk to Me, which I loved. So I would recommend it, Brendan.
Yeah, I would recommend it. I think it's like a completely different type of movie than Talk to Me. This movie especially had a bunch of different genre and tone shifts throughout the movie, which I thought was really interesting. And
it was like extremely unique.
It was very
that's
unique.
What I like. Really unique.
It was a really unique narrative, and like from the very beginning, I thought it was going to be one type of movie, and then in the middle, I thought it was going to be completely different, and then by the end, I was like, it exceeded my expectations again, and it changed almost. It had a million genre shifts, but I thought it was really well done, and I absolutely would recommend to anyone wanting to see it.
Like the only other movie I can think of off the top of my head, like Hereditary, when like Toni Collette is like screaming in the background, reacting to spoiler. The
daughter's
wait, have you seen it?
The headless
okay,
daughter
thank
in
God.
the car. Yeah,
that obviously like hard to watch for a totally different reason than seeing somebody's head split open or whatever. But this had, I mean, one scene that I think we all want to talk about that was like that, where it was just like you're just watching agony in like so many different ways.
But again, the unique
And
spin,
family, like that was huge.
Yeah, Fast and Furious. Call
me Vin, dude.
Like you said, Brendan. Yeah, it was just like it was unique, and it was Talk to Me took a sort of like template and nailed it so well.
Yeah.
Hereditary like made its own template but it was like still things I've seen maybe and nailed it so well. This was like I just can't. I just don't have the. I haven't seen enough movies to say, but like I don't know anything like this.
Well, it felt like at the very beginning, it felt like it was like a film noir, and then it shifted to like a slow burn film noir type mystery movie, and then
Fargo
it went to
almost.
this like satanic like exorcist kind of movie, and then a zombie sort of movie, and then but it also weaved in like the characters and like the way they related in the family and family's interaction really well. So I'm not going to say it wasn't all over the place by any means. I thought that it was very well balanced.
The one thing you said, Abbie, about a template, I will say that they did something very similar to Talk to Me, which is just like, we're establishing rules for this new world building situation, and they laid them out, and then they adhered to them, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's another thing I want to talk about, the exposition in the movie. There are, maybe we'll talk about in the spoiler room, but I found it a little hard sometimes to follow, just because you're reading the subtitles, but you're also trying to like understand this whole world that's being presented to you and all the rules. Anyway,
yeah, no, I think it's a good point. I mean, I think before we get into it, like I think subtitles was really interesting. So this is our first movie we saw of the four.
Though the Australian probably could have used it.
Yeah, Talk to Me maybe could have used it.
Selling
with
pineapples,
subtitles,
living the dream. I can't do it.
Selling pineapples, living the dream.
Or is it coconuts?
Darn.
Yeah.
Was it pineapples?
There's coconuts, and you ruined it
way
forever.
better,
for me.
dude.
The thing about subtitles was so interesting because so obviously, like watching something with subtitles, one of the things it does for someone like me, I have very bad ADD. It's good to make it so you can't look away. If you look away, you miss a complete thing. So you actually have to hyper focus, which I like. I think that, interestingly enough, watching a movie with subtitles, I noticed for the first time today, makes it the teensiest bit less scary to me. And the only reason why is because it's like the pure darkness. There's literal parts in Talk to Me, in some of the other good movies, in The Exorcist for sure, where it is like so dark. And that's like really gets me terrified. And this still had it, and I was still terrified. But
There's
the
a
little
detractor
bit,
built in,
a little bit of a hard to hide that you're watching a movie.
Yeah, I agree. There's one moment where it's hard not to go into spoilers a little bit because it's basically what you're talking about. Like when the autistic son's in the back seat and he's actually mumbling like words on his breath.
Azrael.
You're like, it takes you out of it. You're like, well, that's not exactly what I heard, but.
100%.
And that, I think that's also true with just English subtitles. So it was sometimes you put subtitles on a English speaking movie. You're like, that's not really like it picks up on things you wouldn't otherwise notice, and it takes you out of it. Definitely.
In a perfect world, the director would be like involved in the subtitle adding as well. To be honest, because that clearly, when you're directing that scene, you're not making it clear that he's saying Azrael.
There was also at least one like incorrect, like a typo almost that I noticed. I will say, shout out to Javier. There's always that age-old debate, like for anime, like dubs versus subs, and like most purists are like they want the original language, and he's like dubs over subs, and I was like, why? Like fucking like it's not, and he's like, well, then you can actually appreciate all of the animation that you're looking at. So for horror, anything that takes your eyes off of, I think,
I
basically
disagree
reinforcing what Abbie is saying.
Yeah, I know, 100%. I agree with that in terms of what Abbie's saying, but I think you need subs.
Yeah, I'd rather miss a few things.
No, I 100% would not
over
want this
dubs.
movie dubbed.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the point is for anime.
Yeah, but even anime, like Attack on Titan, for example, I don't watch anime really. I gave Attack on Titan a try. I started with dubs. I switched to subs because I felt like I wanted the tone of their actual voices, and I also think the performances in terms of like the acting is better.
Yes, so
the dubs take you out of the performances that
are
being made. Yeah,
say the whole point of this isn't that I actually think dubs are better. It's just
no, I'm not responding.
Somebody
you just said a guy
explaining
did.
the effect it has on the visuals of something. That's all.
Dubs is literally holding up a knife and he's coming. Dude, stop. Stop.
Evil is lurking.
It's fine,
right?
dude. I like dubs.
Dubs,
Anyway,
get it?
So
I'm calling the cops.
If people have forgotten, which they definitely haven't because they haven't listened before, this is Two Men and a Baby, and Abbie is pretty scared of horror movies. He's a baby about them, so we gotta find out, and we want you all to know how scary was the movie from somebody who gets scared. This segment we like to call, what do we call it?
Baby in a corner.
Baby in the corner. There we go. He just put himself in one. Abbie, on the Binkymeter, where was this?
I would say it's almost as scary as trying to watch Brendan eat a chip in front of the mic right now while holding the cough button.
Oh, he's crushing it right now.
This was very scary. I would say I was scared. I would say I'm unhappy. Again, I forgot because we were in a house this time. It was 1 p.m. I didn't buy a $12 popcorn. Instead, I brought a little White Claw right into the screening room. I was excited. Lisa had hummus, and it was like, and then right when it started, I was like, fuck, I forgot I hate these things. I hate this.
No, I actually think that the darkness and the sound in there was almost more scary than a movie theater.
Well, because it was definitely not like APA approved or whatever the fuck it is. like it was like actually pitch black. Like movie theaters, they have to have them bright enough that like if someone wants to go Dark Knight on you, you get to like run out of the theater and like
no exit sign.
Yeah, this was like straight up pitch black. And the second it started, I was terrified. This movie. I guess I'll get to it right now. It's not the scariest movie I've ever seen, but I like body horror, as I've made clear. That is not what scares me. That's one of the things I feel like I can keep up with you guys on. And this was the first movie that I can ever think of where the body horror fucked me up too, not just the scariness. And then this was the biggest note, I would say. This movie had almost zero chasing. And that is like fucking believable.
Interesting. It was all about how do we go after
exactly.
The thing.
It was like this thing is somehow the most terrifying thing in
True.
the world, but it's not even following you. Like it's just around
it's not
you,
coming after you.
It was. I mean, I didn't quite realize that till reflecting after, and that's what really makes this movie. Like I'm gonna sort of formulate my thought. We just watched it, 2 hours ago, and I'm gonna formulate my thoughts as we go on this pod. But like, it's really notable. I think this is a real feat of a movie. I think that. I was very scared. So I guess out of 10 scaredy cats, I'm going to give it an 8.8.
Damn.
So now that we've got kind of
8.8 scaredy cats.
A portfolio, per
barometers
se,
we're getting.
Where does it so we have Talk to Me, we have The Exorcist, we have Saw X, and we have When Evil Lurks. Rank them on how scared you were.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because now, right as I said it, I'm backtracking because the truth is, Talk to Me just did some of the traditional shit that, like, I was scratching my skin. And so I might have mixed it a little bit. Sleeping on Brendan's couch that night before. I might be connecting my scaredness here with how impressed I was with this movie. So I'm going to put this one little notch above Talk to Me. Both of those were a whole different level. Then Exorcist fucked me up, but that's like such a different type of movie. And then Saw X could suck my saw balls. But yeah, what this movie did, which again was unbelievable, is that it had a scene, which we will talk about later, that you just go into movies your whole life, you're tense. Even, in any movie, you're like, is the good guy going to win? Of course they are. Is the protagonist going to die? Usually not. And then this just had a scene, not even halfway through the movie, that just turned everything on its head, everything we've ever learned about how movies work, and that just brought a different level of fear to this and a different level of uncomfort to me while watching it because I just knew anything could happen. Everything was on the table, and that was unbelievable.
Perfect. And I want to know that scene. So I think this is a good time. Take a little tiptoe down to the spoiler room.
Ooh.
The spoiler room.
We finally got budget.
Call me John Foley over here.
Let's get spoiled.
So I have the plot in front of me, so we can talk through it. But I do think let's just get to that scene because we all want to talk about it. It was fucking crazy.
Oh my god!
We talking girl getting bit by the.
So I don't know how you
Oh my
cannot say
God.
that's horrifying, like in the sense of just like.
So they
It
show.
reminded me of that scene in Z where the kid falls off from the second floor and hits the banister on the way down.
That movie's
Never
worth
seen.
seeing for that one part.
Yeah, and to me, that was like what I was talking about earlier. It's like I respect a movie that takes these sacred cows, like of children and animals, and they completely, turn these tropes on their head, and no one's safe. And yeah, some of the most unsettling parts are when kids suffer the most gruesome.
They had no
Consequences.
rules. First of all, so the scene is Pedro walks in. Pedro, who's a protagonist who's likable, and then the more you think about it, you're like, this guy's a fucking idiot.
Something else I loved about the movie is that he was
super flawed.
Not a good guy at all.
Yeah, he walks in. He knows that his clothes need to be burnt, but he brings him into the fucking house, drops him on the floor, lets a dog sniff all fucking over him. His kid could have sniffed him for all he knows. Then they keep cutting to the dog. Like, they're so over the top.
Possession via sniff is ridiculous.
Exactly. Sniff-session. And they like the dog keeps sniffing it, then we keep cutting to the dog. Like the filmmaker is not being vague that something's about to happen. But again, we're all in our head. We're like, it's not going to be the kid. The kid keeps petting the dog. Like, it's not going to be the kid. It's not going to be the kid. And then, holy absolute fuck.
He ragdolled that little bit.
Like, if you've ever given a puppy, like, their favorite toy in the world and they run away, like, and all of their old, like, genes come through to, like, survive in the wild, it did that with a little girlie's fucking neck.
And this dog's head was, like, bigger than ours.
Her body.
Yeah,
I feel bad for pit bulls get a bad rap, and
yeah, that was the possession's fault.
That was not a pure pit. That was like a weird
bad pit bull PR.
But to Abbie's
BPP.
point, what's insane is like how many times they cut to the dog and is like, "Hey, just so you know, something is about to happen." Like, it could not have been less subtle and more like, "We're warning you, get ready, get ready, get ready."
Yeah, that's true. It's a trigger warning by edit.
And I love that he did that. He was just like usually it's called Chekhov's gun, where they like charge an item and then it becomes important later. This was like not a subtle way of doing that.
Yeah,
and
must be shot.
And then it does the one thing that you didn't think it would, and it was fucking brutal.
Oh my god!
It looked so realistic too.
Yeah.
And I thought, the production was really well done, and that's what I liked about this movie. Also, the director did a movie called Terrified. And that movie did have a little more CGI and
it's really good though.
It did share in that there was a lot of special effects, makeup and stuff, which was really well done in this movie. But the scenes that were supposed to be realistic or like that weren't like being influenced by magic or satanic, things that were actually happening in the physical world looked very real. Girl's head getting ripped by a dog, a car hitting the mom. These things looked not corny. They looked
so
like
good.
They were really happening.
It was like, talk to me. There was no
Yeah.
CGI that you could actually be like, probably only touch-ups and things like that.
Right,
like everything
right.
was practical.
No, and the thing about the kid, like, again, first of all, it's like, I don't know if Argentina has different child labor laws or something, but they just did things that I truly like. I feel like are on the edge of what's legal and not legal to show. Like,
Oh
this
yeah,
movie
that
had
was
some
not the
shit.
only time.
Not at all. And in fact, so that scene, it was horrific, but then they sort of, like, again, what was the term? They killed their sacred cow, which is also a perfect term for this movie because they then killed, like, goats and other fucking animals too. But they killed the cow by killing the little girl. But then they, like, have her come back because she's possessed.
Right.
So, and you see her face and she's smiling, so you're sort of like, okay, they're wheeling it back a little bit. Like,
Yeah,
they still
true.
did it. It's like when I always think, like, in the courtroom, if you do something against the rules really extreme and then they're like, oh, strike that from the record. And it's like, that's not how human brains work. Like, the jury still fucking heard it.
Yeah,
like, you can
yeah.
strike it from the record, but we saw the kid get ripped apart. But then they like 3 other times in the movie, they're like, no, we're doing this. We're doing this. Like, we don't care about kids. We don't care about anything. That, should we start from the beginning? Let's go through the movie, I think.
Well,
'Cause that
I
scene
did
we
want to
should
say
talk
two
about.
things about that one thing. So one is usually it's like kids getting hurt and rape are like the two things that are very rare, but usually fuck people up the most. First movie I ever saw that had like violence towards children, Eli Roth, Hostel 2.
Oh yeah.
Shoots a kid in the face. Like, you're like, that's not going to happen. It's also in City of God. And those, that's like the only thing I remember about Hostel 2. That was one thing. The other thing was
Hostile to a child.
Well, like The Exorcist, there's,
yeah,
Yeah, that's true. But
the priest like punches her in the face.
Oh, the other thing I was going to say was there was actually kind of a striking similarity to the movie's entry point to like setting the tone with Talk to Me when the stab in the face, the initial scene of horror in the movie with a shotgun decapitating a goat, followed by
her axing herself.
Yeah, well, a pregnant woman axing her husband, and it took her like 11 tries, killing herself in the face with an axe. And that
She
somehow
Kurt Cobained herself with a fucking axe. That is
Yeah,
insane.
to talk to me. Yeah, true.
And
Oh my
somehow
God.
that we were not even talking about because the other movies set the tone even more.
Yeah,
Like,
scene. Yeah.
oh,
But
what
like
did
to
I
the
say?
talk to
No,
me
no.
example, like the self harm,
Yeah.
like where the kid is smashing himself.
Oh, and it never
head against
happened
the-
again
Yeah.
in the movie. I kept thinking that somebody
Yeah.
else was going to have some horrific suicide, and it didn't.
No, they really, again, they just really like hit something uniquely, moved on, and they just went. So it starts with like, we got the, Argentinian.
Gunshots in the back.
And Argentinian Mario and Luigi. That's what I kept thinking throughout it. It's like,
Dude,
you
the
got
bros.
Pedro, he's like the main guy, and then they just the sweet, taller brother who was wearing all types of cool hats, and then pulls off his hats after 3 scenes of different hats. Great head of hair.
Yeah, I thought
that was
the
the
same
biggest twist
thing.
of the
Yeah,
movie.
I was like, this guy's handsome,
Yeah,
dude.
this man's got to be wearing all these hats because he's balding. Wrong.
Also, I like the dynamic of the bros.
They
Also,
were great, yeah.
There were a lot of things that they didn't explain but didn't have to about like their backstory. Like maybe he fucked his wife, maybe he murdered somebody. They just like, and that's all you actually needed is like maybe this guy really sucks.
I got to be honest, guys. There were like microscopic moments where I would tune out of because the same thing of subtitles. It would be so fast, and I would be like looking at the beautiful like cinematography.
And you don't read very well.
And I can't read.
He
that was the
actually- he
thing.
does
Abbie
that.
was fucking whispering all the words
I was
into
doing
my
Morse
ear
code to his
the whole time.
earlobe, dude. It was hot. Yeah, so they see the folks, then they see the cut in half.
Yeah. So the movie
body.
starts basically with gunshots, 2 brothers, farmhouse. I still can't get over why I thought the movie for sure took place in like the 50s, and then all of a sudden it's just them. Anyway,
Yeah, I
farmhouse.
think, by the way, that's, I mean, not
farm.
to get
Well, that's just how
argumentative about it, but
rural-
it's rural Argentina.
it's
They
a
keep
farm.
saying it's the middle of nowhere, Argentina.
They
Like,
can't send the
Yeah, but
robots out
town
to pick
wasn't
the
they're
that
not driving
far.
Teslas out there.
Town wasn't that far, and it was a very different situation.
Sure.
But yeah, you
Right,
go to
as
fucking
towns and
bumblefuck
farms are
Yeah,
tend to be
upstate New
different.
York, and it's also like they don't have internet and
Yeah.
like phones that aren't connected to walls.
I loved how the movie started, by the way. I love how
Beautiful.
it just immediately gets into the plot. It doesn't like that thing you learn in film school. Someone wakes up in the morning from the bed,
It
they
hits
eat
the alarm
breakfast.
clock.
Yeah, the alarm clock.
Yeah.
Eat breakfast. It just immediately gunshot, and it's not even you're looking point of view through the window at these spurts of light in the distance, and you hear the gunshots. I loved the beginning. It was like a slow burn neo noir. Like what is going on? Very simple event that they had to figure out what happened, and then it just slowly built from there.
Yeah,
on.
it
That
was
was
slow
great.
Yeah,
burning.
they
He was-
drop you in almost like in the middle
Yeah,
of
in the
middle of
something
it.
that's
Immediately,
happening.
yeah.
It's slow burning. He's slow burning his cig, and also immediately Pedro. Again, it's cool twist too. Later we learn we don't necessarily like him, but he is immediately a
likable,
good voice of reason. And that was a good. Again, for me, it's easy to do the
Anchor.
cop out horror, to scare us babies, as you just make us. No one knows what's happening. Oh my god! But immediately he's this voice of reason. He's like, no, it was 3 shots, then 2. So now you feel like a little more in control, which is it's a false safety. You think you're safe for a second, but now you're really going to be able to fall into the fear with him because he's not scared of dark things. He lives on a farm.
Yeah.
He's scared of fucking devil, satanic,
Or
possession
people
shit.
shooting at each other. Like
Right.
he's immediately like an authority
He knows it's
figure.
not a
He knows what he's
rifle.
talking about. You can tell this guy like he's very
Conviction.
knowledgeable, and he's like, no, like if they were killing a wolf or something or an animal, it would have been X amount of shots. But because we heard more, there's something mysterious afoot, and now I'm hooked, baby, hook, line, and sinker.
Okay, so yeah, they're gonna maybe investigate gunshots, discover a torso of a dead person, and track it down to Maria Elena's house,
Yeah.
where they find out her very, very obese son is possessed and has been for like a really long time.
He's seeping pus. The man is seeping pus.
Oh, it was
He's
disgusting. It was
Yeah.
gloriously nasty.
Yeah.
He was full of juices.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to do with it. But what I liked is they established early that we just need to accept that there are these possessed people called rottens, and that's just a thing that exists in the world of this, where this
And they
movie
make it
takes
clear,
place.
like, the possessed person needs to be killed, but it can't just be killed. And they didn't quite get the rules to us yet, but they very clearly
Yeah.
made us understand. Because the first thing we're thinking is, like, the woman's like, I need someone to kill my son. And we're like, bitch, kill your son yourself.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on. You
Yeah.
got to pick yourself
Yeah,
up
they-
by your bootstraps.
They keep you very
Kill your
curious, and then eventually they just lay out the
Right,
rules.
exactly.
Like,
But for a while, we just know, like, you need to kill them in a special way,
Yeah.
clearly.
But they could have done that at the beginning, and the way that they didn't was so good.
Agreed.
Even before we knew the rules and like what had happened, he has a line where he's like, "Church is fucking dead" or something.
Yeah, and I like that in like an Exorcist type of movie that that usually responds to that type of evil with like Catholicism or Christianity.
Yep.
They were like, "No, that's not part of this movie. Leave it out."
And
baby.
they actually-
Especially because he believed in that, like he was never denying that possession was real. He's just God is dead.
And
Nobody.
that's so true. No one did the thing that all movies have, where one
Have
annoying
one person-
character is like, "Well, why don't you do this?" Like,
Well, the brother was a little bit like.
the brother was a little bit, and then the guy who we're about to meet, who was like Argentinian Tom Waits, I was thinking like Emilio or whatever. Who his version is like, let's just fucking kill him. Who cares about the rules? So then Ruiz decides like, okay, I won't kill him, but I'll take him. We'll drive him far away. That's my plan. And then they have that great fucking gross scene of them trying to carry him through a sheet.
It's disgusting, and
Oh
like
my
some of it seeps through, and you're like, "What is that fluid?"
It's like if you have to do your dishes after a month that you've been putting it off.
I used to work at a moving company, and I would.
You related to that scene.
There was many times where I had to move a big fat guy.
Wait, you guys want to hear something disgusting that happened during my move? So I pick my boogies. I like to pick my boogies. I'm not a roll and flick guy. I'm usually a wipe and stash guy. So I had, when I would pick them in bed, I would wipe it underneath my bed on the frame and apparently on the box springs. So I forgot about that. And as these three movers are, I can't believe
Does this count as the fifth horror movie we've now seen?
As they were wrapping I see what is like a foot and a half worth of 5 years of boogies, and I'm like,
A foot and a half worth?
like it was in about one area.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is disgusting.
This is relatable.
But, this is the worst part. This
He's
is the
a
worst
possessed
part.
one. He's
This is
rotten.
The worst part, I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, oh, sorry, guys. And instead of me being like, those are boogers, he goes, no, I get it. Sometimes you got to deal with some splatter. And he like does like a, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, he thinks it's jizz. And he was totally like, don't worry about it, man. And just kept wrapping it. And I was, anyway.
That's good.
This podcast became a completely different podcast.
It's like if I ever
I
get
swear
caught
I'm
like
not-
chewing on a booger, I'm be like, no, it's jizz, dude. I'm just chewing on cum.
I love that.
Dude,
like,
that's where I put my
he
jizz balls.
seemed more okay with, and once he went there and was cool about it, I'm like, I'm definitely not telling him those are boogies.
I would prefer him to know they're boogies than like.
No, because then he thinks
Jizz
like
'em,
fuck.
Let's move on. Let's move
Yeah, I
on.
guess move on.
Move it on.
Okay, so after they dump this body or whatever,
Or it hops off the back of the fucking pickup truck.
Senor Ruiz, and we talked about this scene for a second, is told by his prego wife that there is a not so nice goat outside, an evil goat, and the woman points at it, and he shoots it in the face.
Even though she tells him, do not shoot it with a gun.
Yeah,
Shoots-
he just keeps wanting to shoot things
Yeah,
you're not
he-
supposed to shoot with a gun.
Yeah, honestly, we were talking about this, like the subtitles. Brendan, we were talking about like it can also in another language. You can tell you're less likely to tell when there's bad acting.
Yes, I had a film professor that said just turn your script into a different language, and it will make the movie way better because people can't notice bad acting. Yeah, to what you said. People
Shout out
can't-
to Trolls 2.
Yeah, shout out to
The
Professor.
sequel to a never-made
shit, I don't
movie.
remember, but
You guys know that thing about Trolls 2?
Oh, yeah, there's no Trolls one.
Yeah, and it was like an Italian or something was like, we want to make a successful American movie, so we pretend it's a sequel. And the dialogue, I mean, it's notorious for being hilariously
It's
bad.
famously like the worst movie
Yeah,
ever.
well,
people
and
say.
a lot of it, the dialogue is just a byproduct of really bad translation.
interesting.
Anywho,
Yeah, so she tells him, do not shoot it. And we're
That's
like,
one of the
yeah,
rules.
if he shoots it, like he's not following the rules. Little do we know how instantaneous.
well, she's walking at the same time to grab the axe.
But we thought she's grabbing the axe so she could kill the goat the right way.
Yeah.
And then he shoots the goat, and then she just axes him in the side of the fucking head. She says, you axe and you shall receive. You know what I'm saying?
Also,
she
with-
said, axe about me. She said, axe body spray.
She said-
and
the-
then his body sprayed.
Oh, the other what I was going to say about the possession. So yeah, you don't really like it happens immediate, but you also, with the exception of the fat guy, there's no physical signs like can talk to me. There's no makeup.
Yeah, the eyes
you
don't
have no
change.
idea.
I know.
And that's scary. And even the goat, they were like, "What?" So they
I
point
kept
to
thinking,
it, and
I was like,
like,
do I not know things about goats?
So,
What's
so
weird
Lisa
about this
was
The
like,
witch,
"What's
remember the witch? Black
Yeah,
Phillip.
I
Black
saw
Phillip,
that.
dude.
Yeah,
Black
that kind
Phillip
of
is-
reminiscent of the witch.
But yeah,
The
there
greatest
was
of all time.
literally nothing different about the goat except for
The goat,
whatever,
Black Phillip, the GOA.
except for whatever she saw in him that we couldn't. So then it moves pretty quickly. They're like, all right, this is bad. Bad stuff's happening. We need to get the
Time
fuck
out.
out of
No,
here.
real quick. So when he shoots the goat, and then she immediately axes him, she was transferred the demon after he shot the goat,
Right,
or
that's
she
what I was
was
trying to figure
axing.
out.
I thought she was axing him to prevent him from being affected, and then
Well, it
her
could be
becoming
that.
affected. But it wasn't, because then she's.
Well, it could be that she understands the implications of this.
But why-
and
then
is-
why-
Oh, she's ending herself.
That's
Well,
what I thought.
I don't
That's
think
what
it's
thought.
that.
I don't think it is either. But they never explained that.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because she was the only suicide. But I don't really know if that matters that much. If that is
It might
fair.
not, but it is an interesting point because I was thinking the same thing. Because so my thought was like, okay, she knows don't shoot it or the spirit's like free
Yeah.
for a second.
Yeah.
But and then
So
but
she
then he
knew the
does shoot it,
rule.
so then the spirit shoots
Yeah,
into
that's what I'm
her,
saying.
so then she's now bad and kills him, and then kills herself. But it is true, it doesn't explain itself, but it also makes me think in a grander thing, and maybe it's like, sometimes you make things confusing because that's better art in a way, but it's like maybe that's what's beautiful about it. Maybe we're thinking in such 2D versions of possession that it's like, oh, it goes like this and their eyes fade, and that's again what's unique about this. It's not that simple. It's the
Also,
fucking devil.
I don't think it matters if she killed herself because of the possession or because she was aware of how fucked.
Well, this is what I think is you can't kill. It doesn't matter if you kill him. I think that what really matters. It doesn't matter if you kill him with an
Right,
axe.
'cause
You
you
kill
need
him
the
with a
rotten.
gun.
None of them are the
because
rotten.
none of them have died from anything. Like so, I think like what happened was he shot the goat. The demonry was transferred to him. She might have killed him, thinking that she was protecting her family, and then by killing him, it was transferred to her.
Oh.
But I don't know.
Yeah. Because if that's not her abiding by the rules, then it could be that she got possessed. But again,
But again,
like
you're
I
right.
said-
It's the only suicide. And also, it's interesting, even when I said it, and you said it in your synopsis, I think, I used the word satanic. I'm actually thinking, I think this movie was deeper than that. Like, they didn't even say the word. Like, Satan implies a god, implies, like, the Bible, like.
No, but they did drop 3 what I think are biblical.
Oh, you're right. Beelzebub. Yeah, you're right.
Beelzebub,
Azrael and
Azrael.
Lucifer.
Good point.
So what's interesting? So you do find out that the whole thing ties back.
From the murder
Fire.
capital,
Wait,
where we
can you
murdered
play
the
that
capital.
song over the intro for this episode? So you find out that the big fatty, he is trying to birth what is the real demon. He's
By
the
being
first,
killed wrong way, right? Like,
by
that's how
it. He just wants to get it out,
Right,
And
but he wants to be killed. He keeps asking to be killed by people.
yes,
not
and if it's done without the rules, he will. So the woman actually uses the word abort. We need to abort this potential demon. So what? Because it was very
mafia.
It was very intentional.
Okay, is AOC directing this thing? Oh my!
No,
God,
but-
please, plane ticket
Honestly,
back to Republican.
I even wrote that
states.
down too because it was anti-gun,
No, but-
Anti-gun, anti-Mexican. Why not shoot this in Mexico like South 10? Jesus.
I thought I had an interesting point to make, but
so
no,
God
but
doesn't exist. Yeah, take our savior out of the movie. Why don't you?
my question
you
is
joking me?
okay.
Abort. Go. Booger bed.
So it's very deliberate that woman was pregnant. So what is the significance?
well, they had unprotected sex, likely.
well, if you want to think about it from religious context, Mother Mary.
No, and also to your point, Will,
just
they
saying
said
there's something
no,
going on there
no,
with-
and to
Let
your
the
point,
let the
they
Christian
said-
in the room speak. I'm joking. Go.
Maybe that's why she axed herself. Maybe
Oh my God, I like that because also the
demon.
the
Said
demon said
Like,
a
I'm gonna
thing
invade
about
you
I'm going to
through
invade
your
your child.
Yeah.
Dude, I think you just
See,
solved
I
it.
was trying to, and Brendan was too busy being
God,
a
show me
funny
the
guy
way,
over here.
'cause the
Nobody-
devil's trying to break me down. Wait, say that one more time.
All right, so I was trying to figure out so the key to this whole thing is we need to kill this fat boy in a very.
He said, "Let me
doesn't
sum
sound-
up what
I
you
don't want to
did."
body shame this
No,
man,
stop.
but he
I think
was,
what Will was getting at is the rotten
Yeah.
said that he was going to invade them through the unborn baby.
Yes.
So
By the
then
way,
that-
my favorite part of the movie that got me hooked.
Yeah,
Like
so
that.
scary.
I love that because I was like, oh, this special effects makeup is kind of taking me out of
the
it.
goo.
It doesn't look really that real.
What?
And then he goes,
I thought it looked so good.
"Kill me,
Yeah.
fasten himanas, baby," and I said, oh, "Yes, now we're cooking."
Now we're cooking. So I think the idea is that maybe that's why she axed herself. Because she knew
the
that she
implication.
had the fucking rotten baby. I'm getting the point, but it was Will's point. But,
So you guys should have seen this was a delightful chain of reaction of realization, and it went like the possession into Abbie, and then Abbie just passed it to Brennan, and it was. This is why we
is
do
meta.
it, folks. This is why we do it.
I will say this. Because this kind of brings me to my next point in that the whole world building, like, I'm not going to say confusing, but it was a little more intricate than I would have liked it to be when they're finally with the cleaner. Jimmy's old
Ex.
flame, that was his teacher, I'm going to guess.
That's
from a
confusing,
former
yeah.
life. Yeah, it was a little confusing. They're in the car. She's in the car with Pedro, and she's basically giving the exposition of the entire movie, like how this began, how churches became, how they died off,
And how I love she was running a fake church. She was running a church scam. Which is
she literally
very
was
relatable.
like a fraud. Yeah.
That's
Which
great.
maybe is why it came in the first place. Who knows?
But I also liked how she explained the only way this entity can destroy you is if you show fear. It preys on your fear. It's like if you're, I think the one line was like, if you're afraid of falling into a hole, you'll find one beneath you.
Great line. Yeah.
And
I did.
yeah.
Sorry, I also liked. This is a little detail that autism was almost like a superpower in this movie in the sense that
did,
it.
I wish they built on that a little more. I wish that,
it could have, but then he gets possessed anyway.
Right.
I
So
know.
let's wait till we get there because I got some questions.
Yeah,
on
to me
All
that
right.
felt like I was like, oh, this guy's going to be like the secret key to the hero. He's going to be the hero. And when the dad's looking for the keys and the autistic son directs his hand to the jar with the keys on it, I was like, okay, this dude has like a power or
Yeah,
something.
he's sort of like Brant or whatever from
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. All right.
So either way, so Axe about me scene.
Yeah.
Then we go to the crazy scene we talked about, the
yeah.
dog, and then they're in town. And I also love that the brothers Mario and Luigi, they split up, and like Pedro goes home, has the craziest shit ever with the dog and everything, and then he just like
such a dysfunctional
Yeah,
family, restraining order. Yeah.
exactly, and then he goes and picks up his brother, and his brother's like, "So how was it?" And
Yeah, yeah.
I brought mommy.
Dude, the mom was the best.
The
Yeah,
mom
the
was
mom was
hilarious.
so good.
Also, I love that she's the one that laid out the rules. She just had the rules ready to go. She came in correct.
I will say where it kind of went not off the rail. It didn't go off the rails at any point, but like the last quarter of the movie when they go to the school and they're talking to the kids who are possessed, right? Those kids are possessed.
But you're not totally sure at first.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You think one of them might not be.
Might not be. But like it turns out you can't trust any of the kids. They're all
Yeah,
all
the
working
children
at
are-
behest of this fat guy beneath the stage.
I love that line that it was like evil loves children and children love evil.
I like that too. Yeah, there were some gems.
Because kids are little shits.
Yeah. But so I have a question. So they go to the school. They finally find the rotten after them dropping him off. They don't know where he went. They
We
finally
skipped
find
a
him.
lot of parts, but yeah.
We're not going to go through every.
Well, just that they go to the teacher's house. Selena comes back.
Oh, yeah. So that's
And fucking wipes the blood on the car. That was amazing.
Yeah.
That
we
was
talked,
like
we also going not to go backwards, but we talked about the dog scene. There was still a lot of horrific shit that happened after.
the
at
guy driving
house.
into them. And
Yeah,
the
but
fucking-
also just like her crying was like,
Wait,
this is
also,
so uncomfortable.
That was maybe one of the favorite scene was the little girl. We all knew it was fucked up because we watched her fucking neck got dragged like a little rag doll. But then she just looks at her mom in the eyes. And again, so you already touched on it. No fucking weird eyeballs. No like skin changing to show she's possessed. She just looks normal. And she just goes, "Daddy's going to kill you."
Yeah.
Daddy's going to take
I
the
got a
gray
little
car and
goosies.
it's going to go boom. And then when it does happen
Immediately too. Like this is
Yeah.
not like an Easter egg for much later. It's right now. Like it's,
when you said
And then
the
when
thing,
it does happen, the girl, you see it because she's like,
she's jumping up for joy.
yeah, she's smiling. But when you said that the rotten saying the thing about I'm gonna invade your fucking baby, that was the second time I think was even. I was like, ooh.
Yeah,
Got
I
the
love
little
that.
shiveries.
I like that.
And then
Yeah.
also, and I think I asked during the movie when the husband kills the wife and daughter again, I guess. I think he like sort of cracks this little mini.
Yeah, I couldn't
smile
tell. He was staring at the daughter, and I
But I
couldn't
love
tell.
that.
What.
Yeah, I know
can't
you're
tell.
saying
There was something
it
about
was,
his
It was
face.
just about it creeping on his
Yeah.
face. But I will say that the reason that it was my favorite scene where the rotten goes, I'm gonna invade your him and his the life growing inside of him and his belly. That reminded me so much of The Exorcist, where like the devil or like the entity that's possessing the person is all knowing, and like you just come into the room and it knows everything about you. It knows your deepest fears. That to me, it sends shivers down my spine, and that's what I love about like these possession movies. Shivers. But anyway. Yeah,
Okay,
so
so back
Sabrina
to
comes. She
this-
takes the child. She jumps off of the balcony. They chase after. They don't. They're like, no, you shouldn't chase out. That's what That's what it wants you to do.
But also,
The way it jumps off the thing, because again, oh my God, you're just like,
He never-
this kid's got to be okay though. At least like this kid's got to.
Never saw him again.
Isn't that? Yeah, that was
see him
crazy.
again.
The way
and
we
we'll
see
get to
yes,
that
yeah,
in a
yeah.
second.
Oh fuck! I was about to say that, and then just Anyway, later on, after we've talked to the cleaner lady and the autistic kid, you're like trying to figure out whether or not he is possessed, or suggesting he probably is. The brother is. They both have tasks. I don't remember, but his involves him bumping into the wife again.
Yeah.
Who's carrying something, and at first I was like, "Oh, they're just showing that the whole town is possessed, and this is going to be
And
a
he's
random
doing, by
possessed
the way,
person."
to get up there, such brilliant filmmaking. I don't know if this has ever been done. Maybe you guys have seen it, where he has to turn the lights on and off. So
It
it's
has-
just like, oh,
So there's I can't remember the
So
movie, but there's
scary.
one of the best like horror scenes. Oh, God, this is gonna drive me crazy. But the only tool that they had to illuminate a room was the flash on a camera.
yeah.
So can you
Lights
imagine?
out.
Yeah, that was great.
Brilliant. And then she's carrying something, and you're like, this doesn't look good for
I
the
thought it was
son.
just like
This
a
doesn't-
leg,
Yeah.
and then the brother does what we as an audience do, where we're like, we need show us what it is.
Yeah.
And he slowly pulls up
Yeah.
and looks,
And she's
it
He's
is
eating his brains like a bag of popcorn
Yeah.
over Redenbacher.
literally
like an $8 Regal special in there. Like,
and it's just falling and splatting on the. So try to imagine that she's eating her son with her hands.
Yeah.
her brains
Through the head. Yeah.
Is there really, like, I know, I don't want to say the most, and I know like famous like old movies like Cannibal Holocaust and shit. It's like that. Is there really stuff that like that seems like he might have hit the upper echelon of like what you can do? Eating your child's brains out of their open skull like a fucking bag of
Also,
cheese doodles.
At that point in the movie, or going up to it, it seemed like the goal and maybe the only chance for a happy ending is if can he save his son?
Yeah, right.
And they're immediately like, nah.
No.
Yeah, not
yeah,
even.
then you're like, what's the goal now?
Yeah.
It's like,
Which is why, again, this movie was so cool and unique.
wild.
Because what's the fucking goal? I don't
Yeah.
know. And what was the ending? We'll get there. I
But
don't
there
know.
was still one more scene
Yeah,
of
yeah.
child brutality waiting for
Yeah.
us. And I think that last one, in many ways, was one of the more
Right.
uncomfortable
So
ones.
so this is where I got confused. So we get home and Luigi is back and he is so at first grandma's alone with the autistic son and he just starts speaking normal and we're like, something is so fucked. And then they cut away, brilliant. They don't show anything. They show him walk by and so
and
then,
most grandmas, when their autistic son walks in and can speak
Speaks
like
for the
perfectly,
first time?
don't have any tics, they're usually like,
yay.
whoa, this is amazing. And she's like, oh, shit.
he literally was like,
He's
hey,
better.
can you make me some food?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, and can I have a
I
blanket?
felt bad
'cause
for that
I'm
dude,
cold?
and I want his arc to like end in a
No,
Right.
but that
So-
was so
And it
good. It was
didn't,
so
man.
uncomfortable. The whole thing.
Yeah.
I
So-
love that they have to be like, nah, he's not possessed. He's just like that. He's fucked off.
No, exactly.
My son's like an invalid. Like it was so.
He's not
uncomfortable.
autistic. He's just a really good actor. Dude.
So then cut to, we might be jumping between the last two, but either way, they're happening simultaneous, sort of. So they're with the kids. They're prying open the board. We got dead parents with the fucking lime all over them so they don't smell. The woman's trying to get the protractor out to like fucking end him. No, they don't really explain what that is, but we just know that you have to do
it's just
something
like,
complicated.
There are these cleaners
Yeah.
in
It's
this
like
world.
And
Old ass telescope.
exactly, yeah, like
They got
fucking
them
Magellan
John
needs
Wicks
to go.
for the. They got John Wicks for the TikTok.
Exactly.
It's like, are we
All
circumnavigating the globe? Or are we trying to kill some devils, dude?
Exactly. They're like, oh, does that globe open up and it has like a nice whiskey selection in it? But so Then Pedro, who we're already like, okay, you've been making some bad decisions, does the dumbest thing of all time. And that was actually, to be fair, maybe a flaw in my head because
It seemed a little
like
at this point he's committed to the rules, right?
exactly. Like, it's one thing if he believed
I
the
agree.
girl at the beginning and when they were at the car. Not the beginning, but like earlier in that scene when the girl was like, you have to go here, that's safe. But it's like, he's just realized that the kids were lying 4 times, and then on the 5th time, he's like, cool, I'll do it.
Oh, I think it was supposed to be interpreted as whatever the rotten said to him just pissed him off to
Right,
the point where
ruined
he
him.
couldn't even.
He wasn't.
He was like,
thinking
I don't
straight.
care
That's
anymore.
true because he was saying some crazy shit to him. He was getting under his skin, And then he goes in, gets locked out, watches them fucking take this teacher, bash
Hammer.
her face with the hammer, like with the smile again. Brilliant.
So this
scary.
is a child.
just hammering.
And this is a cute little girl.
They really hammered in the point there.
Well, we missed the third instance of brutal child abuse in this film. This same girl that hammers our potential savior to death very slowly and gratuitously, he figures out that this girl's possessed and wants to get information out of her and just starts beating her with his fists on the ground, trying to be like, tell me where, like in a movie when
Before
a guy.
that.
Before that, where a guy is like, tell me what you know, like Batman to the Joker, but it's a grown man to a, I don't know, like 8-year-old girl.
Well, it's like that Exorcist scene. Where,
and
where he jumps on the bed and
Yeah.
he's just fucking punching.
Yeah.
and then
Doesn't that happen?
the girl's being possessed. They're gonna say whatever they need to say to make you feel horrible. So she's just like crying, like stop it. It's like fucking hard to watch.
Yeah. There's so much. And then we go back. And then we got little boy finally gets his fucking apple ice cream, which we were all talking about during the showing. Never heard of apple ice cream. Maybe there's a translation thing there. Then when he saw it, finally was eating it, it sort of looked like, have you guys ever had a melon bar? They're fire.
No,
Like an Asian
but that's
Oh,
part
yeah,
of the
yeah.
world
bar.
building.
That was really good. But yeah,
Part of the world building
apple,
is a world where apple ice cream
apple
is
exactly.
That sounds pretty good.
autism.
Yeah. I'm
you
going
guys
to
ever-
Argentina tomorrow to
That
get some
sounds
apple
good,
ice cream.
actually.
It looked good.
Have you guys ever like a scoop of vanilla ice cream on a hot apple pie?
Oh,
Have we ever had a scoop of vanilla ice cream on a hot apple pie?
Yeah.
That was your question?
Yeah. Anyway, so he's eating the apple ice cream. Then all of a sudden, he starts choking on a spoon, and the dad is Pedro's looking at the fire, and he goes, "Slowly, son. Eat it slowly," because he's probably dealt with this a million times before. And he looks over, and the spoon's in his mouth. He's going to help him out, and then he's like, "There's something fishy about this." Reaches his hand into the boy's mouth, starts pulling out hair, bloody hair.
Looked like my shower drain after a nice.
Yeah, it looked like my cat
Cow.
after a good cleaning.
Yeah.
Dude.
He ate grandmama, abuela.
He ate abuela. Usually abuela's feeding you. This
Also, we
time,
didn't even
she
talk about
fed him.
the fact that the demon that was needed to be aborted was born. So I thought the movie was going to end there. Like, they lost. This Lucifer has been released into the world. They're like, okay, it's not bad enough that this person is now going to probably take over
What
the
is
whole
he even
world.
gonna do?
Well, they're like, we need to come back and tell you how bad it really got for the people you've been caring about the whole movie. Pretty punitive. And then him, like, I hate, like, people joke about the Star Wars prequels, like the Darth Vader finding out Padme died and going, no, like on his knees. But, they literally ended with him falling to his knees and crying. And it wasn't like, it was.
I mean,
like,
bro
ugh.
deserves to cry. He fucked up hard. Like
Yeah.
he
was
really,
pretty much
he
all
really
his fault.
fumbled the bag, dude.
He effed the bee, dude.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of parallels. It was made like right after COVID, right? I think you have to like talk about this movie.
Yeah, I
was
didn't catch
inspired
that
by-
at all till
Really?
your synopsis. No,
Oh,
I didn't
really?
catch it
I
at all.
don't-
I'm not saying I disagree.
Yeah.
Have
There's
you
one
seen the
scene where
movie?
when he's taking the clothes off. We talked about.
Yeah, burns the clothes.
I had back in the day, I had bed bugs. Lived in Brooklyn, and my dad had to pick me up, and at my mom's request, told me to take all my clothes off. In February, dude, stripped down, got in the car, and I had nothing, dude. All my clothes were gone, and bed bugs and COVID, that shit will fuck you up, dude.
It's called the sadness, not the sickness.
I was thinking you whispered it during the movie. There's definitely I didn't see the COVID connection as much, but there was definitely a bedbug connection to this movie. It was just like once you touch the thing, you are fucked. There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do.
But anyway, dude, I don't know. This movie.
This movie fucked me up. Maybe worse talking about it, which shows how good this movie was. Like I feel like talking about Talk to Me was exciting, and I got over some of my fears by talking to you guys. I think I'm more scared right now than I even was leaving the movie, and I was scared then. I think just to fill it all up in my bucket, like I'm in a podcast studio with my good friends. We're drinking. We're gonna continue to drink after this, and I'm terrified. I'm like actually fucked up by this movie, I think. I thought we were done. Fuck, we have to do ratings.
Before we give our final score, we're going to do the Rottenness tomato, where you two gentlemen are going to try to predict the tomato meter score of this film. What do you think?
Great. I think that if you're seeing this movie, you're probably into horror movies, and this did it. I think that I'm going to say 94% critics, and I'm going to say 90% audience. Only because I think some of the kids stuff might have turned off a few little bitch-ass audience members.
This is the worst movie I've ever seen.
I mean, my mom would like straight up walk out of this movie every 5 seconds if she was like mind erased and then started it again, and then 5 seconds later she'd walk out again. Like every single iteration.
Literally just open the audience section in the second review, 1 star. Boring and annoying. I don't know why I keep falling for Rotten Tomatoes reviews. People who are on Rotten Tomatoes message boards don't even understand.
Also, that person, I love those reviews. You didn't watch it. You're pretending you watched it. Yeah. You didn't watch the whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
No,
all right, Brendan, what do you think?
I'm going to say 91% Rotten Tomatoes, audience probably 87.
All right.
Okay, so this is kind of crazy. It's got 99% with 97 reviews. So even despite usually if you take some risks, they're going to be 99% with 97 reviews, and the audience score is 80%.
All right.
So you guys both had the audience score higher, right?
No,
lower.
No, lower. Okay, yeah. Usually with horror movies, the audience score is drastically lower than the critics' reviews, especially if it's like a well-received horror movie. So that's interesting. What are your final ratings? Let's wrap up the fourth.
Yeah. I'm gonna. I mean, again, it's hard. You need some time to reflect, but like I just said, I think this was so interesting and unique, and scary as fuck, and good and well shot, and again well acted, which is easier when you're reading the subtitles, maybe. But I'm gonna give it a 9.1.
Good. Also, we talked about this. We think we all kind of we're scared
at the
to
beginning.
give Talk to Me. Like we like Talk to Me a lot.
Yeah.
And we're both like 8.4. Like
I was playing it coy.
9.1 is strong.
Yeah, I think upon looking back at
I think
Talk
in
to
the
Me, it'd
nines,
be higher. Yeah,
in the nines, that's really good.
All right, so yeah, I'm gonna go 9.1. Brendan?
Yeah, I thought this movie was great.
9.1 what?
Oh, fuck ass shit.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna give it 9.1 dead children brain popcorns.
I was gonna say something about the kids. Now I'm gonna think of something else.
I thought the movie was great. I thought, again, there was a lot of tone shifts that were good, but it felt like more of a thriller to me. Like I wasn't at any point, other than those couple of scenes we talked about, super scared, or like there was a couple of jump scares that I thought were good. But to me, it did feel like more of a thriller movie. So I didn't really, it didn't feel like this traditional horror movie. But that it goes without saying that the movie was really good. I would say 8.7. I would say. 8.7 boogers under a bed frame.
Damn, I don't know what. I loved it. This is my. I haven't liked a horror movie. Well, Talk to Me was like the one this year where I was like, oh, we got a good one. I thought this was amazing. I'm gonna give it like 9.6. Yeah, no, this is truly. I really enjoyed it. 9.6.
Artisanal pizza.
Artisanal pizzas. Okay, there we go. Brendan, do you have an outro theme song?
Yeah, it goes like this. It's time to finish. Oh, yeah. I got to take a big dump. Yeah.
Finn.
Countdown to him asking us to cut that out. 3, 2, 1.
Wait,
Goodbye.
Don't put the dump thing in. That's gross, dude.
2 men and